Hello, this is a thank you video to all the people who came to the IDB online Zoom session on Sunday. We did the track Mana Breathing. I think we had about 30 people on the call altogether. I really love that track Mana Breathing. I joined in quite a lot with it this time, and I found it was able to alleviate some of the quarantine heaviness that had been just collecting and gathering on me. Sometimes it's kind of hard for me to get in touch with those layers of emotion that are in the limbic system, but I really found that I was able to do that on Sunday, and so it was a great privilege to do all that with you and be a part of it as well. I'm really grateful for that. I wanted to address a couple of things. The first one was the importance. I mentioned this on the call a little bit, and I think it's really important. It's the more I've been studying the nervous system and modalities like somatic experiencing, Peter Levine's work, I see such an importance in developing a kind of a presence, like a present awareness, to be able to, like a container to have your experience in. And I know that breath work tends to lessen the activity in the prefrontal cortex, which allows you to get into the limbic system and the emotional brain and the brain stem and the fight and flight response. And that's good. It's good to be in touch with those emotions. They come up and you can exercise them, exercise them, something like that, exercise them. And it's nice to be able to feel that stuff again, but I feel like there is the aspect of it that is sometimes missing is the development of that presence awareness, like that you still remain in your body while you can invite in that intensity of experience. And for that you have to build up your the capacity of your nervous system, and so that means kind of constantly checking in with yourself. And we did a couple of exercises on the call where we were kind of looking around and just ways that you could check in with yourself and recognize where you're in your body and points of contact with the ground and with the environment, all this kind of thing. And so that's a really valuable component of the breath work. So you're really staying with your body during the experience, and you're not just kind of shooting off into space, which can have its own benefits. I find, it's like nice to have a bit of a break, but if you really want this stuff to kind of integrate and increase the capacity of your nervous system so you can integrate more parts of yourself, like more ways to experience yourself that might have been dissociated from the past, then this is a really good way to bring it down to the ground and a container for you to really experience it in. One of the questions I got asked was about the nose breathing and having difficulty with that rapid coherent nose breathing, and my answer to that is that if you're having difficulty with the nose breathing, I experience this as well sometimes. If I'm doing like a rapid coherent nose breathing, I find it quite difficult. And that's because as you inhale a lot of oxygen very fast, what happens is what's called vasoconstriction. And that is where the blood vessels start to tighten up a little bit. So it can be quite difficult so I find it in my nose. I think I have like a decent amount of scar tissue built up in my nose. And so sometimes when I'm doing the fast breathing through the nose, it gets quite hard because things constrict and you can feel like the airways getting smaller, and the blood vessels, they also contract as well. Everything kind of constricts. And the opposite of that is what's called vasodilation. Nose breathing is particularly good for vasodilation. You want vasodilation so that this is where the blood vessels start to open up again and things can flow more freely in the body. When you do nose breathing, typically, because nose breathing produces nitric oxide, that's what helps vasodilation happen. But if you do it with a lot of oxygen, then that actually causes the overall effect is vasoconstriction. However, when we do the fast breathing exercises, what we're really looking to do is hyperoxygenate the body. So it actually doesn't matter that much if you're breathing through the nose when you're doing the strong breathing exercises. If it gets uncomfortable, you want to breathe through the mouth. Just switch to mouth breathing and keep the oxygen coming, because what we're looking to do is lessen the activity in the limbic, in the prefrontal cortex, so you can get down into the limbic system and start to feel some stuff again. And so that's the purpose of doing the strong breathing. So if you can't do it through the nose, don't worry about it. Just go straight to the mouth and start doing it through the mouth. The point is to get more oxygen into the body, so you can kind of move down beneath the thinking brain into the feeling brain. So I talked about this before, but it's like, as you're doing these things, the importance of not just checking out, so not dissociating from your experience, because you really want to train in your nervous system and condition your nervous system to experience more, so that way you can feel more feelings, you can feel comfortable, you have like a holding presence, a holding space where you can feel what's going on without reacting to it. That's really what you're trying to do here, because then when you're able to relax into an intensity of feeling, what happens is you're not in fight and flight response anymore. Because when you're in fight and flight response, like, this is probably one of my main concerns about what's happening at the minute, is you see a lot of people are very stressed, a lot of people are very anxious, a lot of people are in fight and flight response. And so what that actually does is it moves blood from the vital organs, including the brain, into the limbs, so you can get ready to run away or fight or freeze. That's often a response as well. But while the blood is not in the organs and the brain, you don't get access to the same mental resources that you might do if you're relaxed and you're open, you have more clarity, and your nervous system is settled. And so a lot of this work is about helping people to soften into their fight and flight response and helping them to stimulate it. Get into the feelings, open up the capacity to feel things by turning down the activity in the prefrontal cortex, and then helping them to soften into the intensity of the experience and really ground it, so that they practice attuning the nervous system. They practice expanding the capacity of their nervous system so that they can actually feel more. And while something intense is happening to them, they are still able to kind of relax and soften and lean into it a little bit more. So they have more access to better mental resources. They can make better decisions. And I see right now, certainly there's a lot of people that are in this kind of chronic fight and flight response. There's a huge thing going on in the world, and we don't really know what's going on. There's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of change, there's a lot of things happening. And the more we can help people to trigger that parasympathetic response and think through things clearly and really ground and be present with what's happening, the better chance we have of integrating the experience as a collective and then moving it forward into something that could be quite positive. So that's really a lot what this work is about. So thank you all for showing up on Sunday to be a part of that. That was really like a great honor, I felt, for myself to be able to do something like that with you. So I want to continue this work, and I'm not sure, and I want to continue it online. I want to keep going with it. I want to keep doing more of these kinds of things, and I'm interested to get your feedback. Like, I want to know from you, what is the value of your experience? What's the benefit for you in this kind of thing? And I would like to kind of shape it a little bit around that. I know myself the benefit that I get from it. I know the kind of the boost in creativity, the clarity, the sense of energy that I get, and the relaxation of the nervous system at the same time. And particularly where in the IDB with the inner dance stuff, you really get to go on that kind of archetypal journey through music. So you're kind of combining the elements of all of this scientific and breathwork stuff with moving through this kind of archetypal story in music. So you get to connect with different aspects of music, and on a much more from the kind of directly from the limbic system without thinking about it too much, and you get to experience a kind of an archetypal journey while your prefrontal cortex has less activity in it. So you really get to embody it more. And I think for me, that's really the crux of this work, is like more people becoming embodied, because when you're embodied, then you have a greater capacity to understand yourself in the human experience, and then you can understand other people through that as well. When it's all up here, everybody has very different views of the world based on their individual experience. So when it's all just completely mental, and it's completely mental, but I mean like literally mental, everybody has a completely different view of the world. So there's a lot of separation involved in that. But when it's all embodied, we all have a very similar embodied experience, which I think is why it's fundamental that more of this kind of embodiment work happens, especially right now, because a lot of people are checking out of their experience, going up to their brains, making lots of judgments and analysis about things that may or may not be based on facts or truth. Like, we're trying to sort through all that right now. We don't really know what's happening. So one of the things we can do is to drop into the body, find ways to settle the nervous system, find ways to soften and relax into that fight and flight response, energize the body with our breathing exercises, and then do things like these kind of introspective meditations that take us on journeys where we can maybe have the benefit of just experiencing ourselves in different ways and coming up with insights about how we might act next, like what we might do. And I always find that at the end of a session I get a lot of kind of a creativity and new insight into something maybe I've been struggling with. So I think that's probably around about that. Thank you again for your participation. It's great to see you all on the call. Thank you for the people who put a little bit of money in the pot. All of that is very much appreciated. I don't know exactly when we're going to do another one yet, perhaps the week after next, but I will keep you all informed on that as well. So thank you again, and I'll speak to you soon.